Have you ever felt like an emotional train station where everyone arrives just to unload their baggage? The phone calls filled with problems, the messages with requests, the meetings where you listen, advise, and support. And afterward, you're left completely exhausted, as if all the life has been drained out of you. What if I told you that the greatest strength isn't in always being there for others, but in daring to become unavailable for them? In this video, we'll dive into the profound insights of Carl Jung on energy, boundaries, and psychological strength. We'll discover how the conscious choice to embrace silence can radically transform your life and relationships. And if this topic resonates with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. The Savior Mask. Why do we become overly available? According to Jungian psychology, many of us wear a social mask that Jung called the persona. This is the version of ourselves we show the world to be accepted, loved, and approved of. One of the most common of these is the good person, the savior, or the dependable one mask. We learn to be accommodating, to always say yes, and to put others' needs before our own. Why? Because deep down, we fear that if we stop being useful, we will be rejected. This persona demands an enormous amount of psychological energy, and over time, we begin to confuse this role with who we truly are. Type the word mask in the comments if you've ever felt like you're playing a role for others. The law of conservation of energy. Your psyche is not an unlimited resource. Carl Jung viewed the psyche as a closed energy system. Your emotional, mental, and spiritual energy is your most valuable resource. When you hand it out uncontrollably to anyone who asks, you are literally depleting yourself. This isn't just fatigue, it's a loss of connection to your own center, to your true self. You become so preoccupied with other people's dramas that you have no energy left to hear your own inner voice, understand your true desires, or heal your own wounds. You become a satellite in someone else's orbit, losing the core of your own life. When you are always available, you signal to the world and to your own unconscious that your time, your energy, and your feelings are not valuable. The magic of silence. What happens when you close the door? Now for the fascinating part. When you consciously decide to become less available by not responding instantly, declining requests, or spending time alone, true magic begins to unfold. You'll filter your social circle. The first people to disappear from your life will be the energy vampires and manipulators. Those who are only around because you are a convenient resource won't be able to handle your new boundaries. The ones who remain will be those who value you as a person, not as a function. Example, Olivia had always been the emotional support for her friend Brian. He would call her at midnight to complain about his job. One day, Olivia calmly said, "Brian, I value our friendship, but I can't take calls after 10 p.m. anymore." Brian got offended and stopped calling. At first, Olivia felt guilty, but then she realized their friendship was built entirely on her unconditional availability.
You force others to reclaim their projections. When you stop being a screen for other people's problems, they are forced to confront themselves. They can no longer project the role of savior or therapist onto you. This pushes them to find strength within themselves and frees you from an unbearable burden. Example, Megan constantly asked her older sister, Chloe, for help with financial decisions, and Chloe always solved everything for her. When Chloe finally stopped, saying, "Megan, I'm confident you can figure out the best solution on your own," Megan was forced to research her finances for the first time. Not only did she manage it, but she felt an incredible sense of pride, while Chloe was freed from the role of the perpetual rescuer. You create a sacred space. Your unavailability creates silence. And in that silence, you finally begin to hear yourself, your dreams, your fears, your pain. This space, which Jung might have called a temenos, a sacred enclosure, becomes the container for your inner work and transformation. Example: Mark, a successful programmer, was used to working late and spending his weekends at loud parties, leaving him constantly tired and emotionally burnt out. He decided to turn off his phone every Sunday and go for a solo hike in the woods. At first, the silence felt unbearable, and the lack of external stimuli made him anxious. But over time, in that quiet, he began to hear his own thoughts instead of chaos. He remembered his childhood dream of photographing birds. This weekly ritual of silence became his personal time for renewal. He not only found a new hobby that brought him peace and inspiration, but also reevaluated his career goals, realizing he craved more creative and balanced work. Type the word silence in the comments if you want to find this space for yourself. Meeting the shadow and discovering your strength. Becoming unavailable isn't about selfishness, it's about individuation, the process of becoming a whole, integrated person as Jung envisioned it. When you stop escaping into other people's problems, you are left alone with yourself, and it is here that you meet the shadow, the parts of yourself you have ignored, your repressed anger for being used, your right to rest, and your selfish desires. Integrating these shadow aspects is the source of true strength. You realize that your worth does not depend on your usefulness to others. Saying no is an act of self-love. Your energy is sacred, and you have the right to decide where to direct it. When you stop being available to everyone, you become incredibly available to yourself. And it's at that moment that the people and opportunities that resonate with your new, whole self begin to appear in your life. Type the word power in the comments if you are ready to reclaim yours. I hope this video has inspired you to look at your own boundaries and the value of your energy in a new light. It's not an easy path, but it is the one that leads to true freedom and authenticity. If you found this helpful, please give it a like. It will help this video find others who need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next explorations into the depths of psychology. And of course, share in the comments if any of this felt familiar to you. See you next time.